Maybe you've heard the news. E3 has been canceled for both 2024 and 2025. And we haven't even made it out of July 2023 yet. People everywhere are claiming that E3 is dead. And when you take a look at the facts, I'm not sure it's that simple. A better question one could ask is, why would you want it to be? So instead of memorializing E3, I'm taking the harder path here. My name is Captain Trippz, and here are 3 reasons the industry should reset E3, not cancel it. It all started in June when the Los Angeles Tourism Board of Commissioners held what was, for them, a normal meeting. A meeting packet was sent out ahead, and a footnote on one of the slides said that E3 had been canceled for both 2024 and 2025. The gaming media went wild, but as a person who makes decks for others to read, I can't stress enough how important context is. My manager always drives home the point with me that imagine if someone who wasn't our client read the deck. Is it as clear to them as it would be to our client? The context needs to be added just so you can make sure the entire picture is painted, not just a little bit of corner. Now, when we look at the slide that shows that the LA rented room rates or the nights stack up against production, the issue in question here stems from people looking at the actual room nights for fiscal year 2022 through 23. An asterisk on the slide denotes that the actual room nights for 2022 to 2023 to date, that means up until this point, or at that point up until June, right, includes cancellations for both 2024 and 2025 E3 cancellations. Now let's unpack that. The commissioners are saying that this year they have a certain number of rooms being rented according to the slate of events that they currently have. Now, if you rewind the clock back to the beginning of the year, E3 was set to make its return to an in-person event this summer after 4 years away. 2021 was virtual. Prior to that, E3 had taken place annually since 1995. In the world of planning, it's not far-fetched to think that the ESA, the governing board over E3, not only scheduled E3 for 2023, but also 24 and 25 as well. These people, nor do the LA Tourism Board of Commissioners, make any assumptions at all when it comes down to money coming in. So when the plug was pulled for E3 this year, Los Angeles may have been under the impression that this could also affect the other 2 events on their schedule, especially with the recent history of E3, which we'll get to in a minute. But it was no use. Gaming media did what they're known to do, and they ran with it. I'll also posit this. Are we sure someone just didn't make a mistake with the slide deck that was taken out of context? To their credit, the ESA did put out a statement saying that a decision for the future of the event had not been determined. But if you read enough PR statements like I read PR statements, you know that's kind of par for the course, right? You have to make that statement. But if you ask me, I hope they stick with the event, all right? Here are my top 3 reasons that I hope E3 returns. Reason number 1, it's a gamer holiday. I've been a gamer for a little over 30 years at this point. It's long been a part of my life. Even back before I could buy a game with my own money, I used to spend the change from whenever my mom went to go send me to go do errands for her. I used to spend that change on comic books and video game magazines. Thanks, Ma. Appreciate it. I'd flip through those pages very intently and read rumors, look at pictures about games that were coming out in the future. I really didn't know what that meant at the time. I remember seeing Electronic Entertainment Expo, E3 in print, and imagine that everybody in attendance was continually getting their minds blown by all the companies trying to compete against each other to announce their next game coming out that holiday season, or maybe even a new console, or maybe even a new character. As I got older, the expo became a part of my life. I mean, I take breaks from my Mountain Dew Livewire fueled gaming marathons, and I check my message boards for announcements and news. Shout out to Xbox Addict. That was like my first gaming home on the internet. It's a little different these days, right? Especially in the absence of E3. PlayStation had their showcase at the end of May. Xbox was next up in mid-June, and I think that kicked off like the Summer Games Fest. Nintendo's was at the end of June, right? And in between May and June, or the end of June, we saw Ubisoft, Square Enix, Capcom, PC Games got their own showcase, Wholesome, Devolver, Future Games. But all of this was like separate, disparate. Even though it was encompassed within the Summer Games Fest, I feel as though most of the news that I got was secondhand from someone who attended one of these showcases or watched it online and then shared that information out with regards to what they were excited about. I mean, we still get the information, but it seems kind of fragmented. And like I said, most of those showcases were based around the Summer's Game Fest, which brings me to my next point. Point number 2. Jeff Keighley needs a break, bruh. I like the dude. I really, really do. He's very sincere. And with the huge vacancy of E3, he's positioned himself and his brand as the cure-all. But Jeff cannot be the guy for everything gaming. I mean, I'll give him the Game Awards. It's a great idea, and the execution so far has been top notch. It's legitimately one of my favorite events each year, and the positioning within the gaming space, come on. It's like the icing on the cake for me. And it's way less pretentious than the Oscars. This is when you include the Fuck the Oscars clip.
Insane. Like, we're here, we're serving this. Look, the Oscars should fuck themselves up. This is the shit. I'm telling you, this is the real shit. What is this? This is the interactive gaming. Look, I'm just saying this. Let me tell. Sorry, I'm taking. Let me just give me a minute. I want to take your time. Look. Okay, can you swear here? Can you swear? Okay. Fuck the Oscars. You know. Fuck the Oscars. Fuck you. I'll tell you. This is bullshit. Look. Here's the thing.
But bruh cannot be everything to everyone. I mean, if he continues at this rate, right? Planning, promoting, and executing a huge industry-wide event with reveals, exclusives, surprises, and not to mention awards, you're going to have a lot of secrecy every 6 months. Even if he does avoid burnout somehow, how long before gamers start burning out on him, right? Besides that, having one guy as the central figure for an entire industry just screams hustling backwards. Let's not put that on Jeff, right? I love for him and Summer's Game Fest to be involved, but I honestly think the industry needs to come together, make this E3 an event, something for the gamers. Again, maybe it's Jeff, the ESA, maybe it's someone who does conventions, maybe it's a panel. I just don't think it needs to be centralized around one person. Reason number 3, we got to show gamers what it's like for gaming to grow, right? As a culture, gaming has gone from something that, that was precious to only a few people, talked about in classrooms, on bus rides, forums, servers, and chat rooms, to a widely accessible hobby that includes millions of people from all walks of life. Now, with that being said, this is a culture that exposes people to racism, misogyny, homophobia, and grooming when all they want to do is just have fun, right? No other industry exposes creators to doxing and death threats simply because they didn't like a game, a character, an opinion, or a perspective. This has to stop. And E3 is a perfect opportunity to help shape what the culture could be, not just what it is. I mean, even before 2019, E3 was looked at as wasteful, with some companies spending upwards of $10 million per footprint. We're not even going to get into what was happening at some of these industry parties, what was made what was done to make women in the space feel belittled, what was specifically done to foster cultures based around, again, racism, misogyny, homophobia, and grooming. It ain't even got to be all that. Streamline the event for both industry and fans. Reduce the waste. Get people ready for your new product dropping that same year, and keep people safe. It's quite simple to me. Not only at the event, but afterwards, by creating diverse and welcoming atmospheres, right? That show people how universal gaming is. How not being a dickhead, right, to others can be, and stomping out the bullshit in your own space. When you do that, when you teach people what gaming can be, and not perpetuate traumas just because it is what it is. Seriously, on a side note, it's weird to me that people of all backgrounds justify the racism and the misogyny that goes on online gaming spaces specifically just because they had to deal with it. Don't you not want that to persist into the future? Personally, I want a world where if I have a child, hopefully that child includes gaming into their hobbies. And if that child is mine, they're going to be black. And I haven't touched some of these online games, COD, forever because I don't want to be exposed to that. Why would I expose my child to that? If I have a daughter, why would I expose her to people saying, get back in the kitchen just because they got sniped? Come on, man. I hope you come back, E3. And not for me. I hope it comes back for all the kids who are on the periphery, right? Who don't think this medium is for them because it doesn't protect the others. The ones who will one day speak up and put their foots down. The ones who will come behind us. We have to show them that this industry still has more gas in the tank. It just may look a little different than those LAN session days that we used to have. My name's Trippz, and I'm a lifelong gamer. I'm out. I just hope E3 isn't.